हेलो माय डियर एलपीयू फ्रेंड्स। अब हम शुरू करने वाले हैं हमारा यूनिट नंबर 5 डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट। ठीक है जी, डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट का यूनिट 5 शुरू करने वाले हैं। जानेंगे डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट क्या होता है। डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट के पहले ऑब्जेक्टिव्स देखते हैं। रिड्यूस अवॉइड लॉसेस फ्रॉम डिज़ास्टर, यानी कि कोई भी डिज़ास्टर से उसके डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट का यही ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि हम जो है डिज़ास्टर से जो होने वाली सारे लॉसेस को रिड्यूस करें और अवॉइड करें। अश्योर असिस्टेंस टू विक्टम्स, यानी कि लोगों को असिस्टेंस दें और उन्हें डिज़ास्टर से बचाएं। अचीव रैपिड एंड इफेक्टिव रिकवरी। कंपोनेंट्स देखते हैं डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट के कौन से हैं। मिटिगेशन, मिटिगेशन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। मिटिगेशन की एक डेफिनेशन याद रखें। मिटिगेशन का मतलब है मिनिमाइजिंग द पॉसिबल इफेक्ट ऑफ डिज़ास्टर। डिज़ास्टर कम से कम हो उसको मिनिमाइज करना है। ठीक है। प्रिपेयर्डनेस, प्रिपेयर्डनेस ये सारी डेफिनेशंस को आप अच्छे से याद कर लें, इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू। प्रिपेयर्डनेस, प्लानिंग हाउ टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू डिज़ास्टर। रिस्पॉन्स, टेकिंग इमीडिएट मेजर्स टू सेव लाइफ एंड प्रॉपर्टी, प्रोवाइडिंग मेडिकल रिलीफ एक्सेट्रा। रिकवरी, रिटर्निंग द कम्युनिटी टू नॉर्मल कंडीशंस। वट इज़ अ डिज़ास्टर, अब हम जानेंगे डिज़ास्टर होता क्या है। इट इज़ डिफाइंड एज अ सडन इवेंट, इट इज़ अ सडन इवेंट और कैलेमिटी दैट कॉज लार्ज स्केल डैमेज एंड डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ एंड प्रॉपर्टी। एक सडन इवेंट है जिससे बहुत ज़्यादा हमें हानि हानि पहुंच सकती है, डैमेज पहुंचता है, डिस्ट्रक्शन होती है ह्यूमंस को भी और हमारी बनाई हुई चीज़ें, घर तबाह हो जाते हैं, बिल्डिंग्स खराब हो जाती हैं, बिल्डिंग्स गिर जाती हैं। ठीक है। टाइप्स ऑफ डिजास्टर कौन से हैं। नेचुरल डिजास्टर and man-made disaster. Let's study about natural disaster. Natural disaster means air-related hurricanes, cyclones, storms, water-related floods, drought, etc. Earth-related earthquakes, landslides, and volcanic eruptions. Volcanic eruptions also is a natural disaster. Man-made disaster. Please remember them. Few points. Industrial accidents, wars. Wars are also man-made disaster. Riots, terrorism, toxic spill, transportation accidents. Okay. Earthquake. Let's study about earthquake in deep. The term earthquake is used to describe seismic event, any seismic event that caused naturally or as a consequence of human activities and that leads to generation of devastating seismic waves. ठीक है जी। Causes of earthquake, please remember the definition. Causes of earthquake: movement of hot gases and magma, volcanic activities, stress buildup due to water pressure, tectonic stress generated by movement of tectonic plates. Let's see a pictorial representation of earthquake. Movement of tectonic plate, this is how the movement of tectonic plates, then earth is shaken from inside. Okay. Earthquake, effects of earthquake. Let's study effects of earthquake. Destruction and demolition of buildings, dams, etc. Large scale damage to life and property. Increased incidence of fire, landslide, etc. Increased incidence of tsunami waves. Notable earthquakes in the world. This is a all the index in which it is mentioned that past earthquakes and their location, their fatalities and their magnitude. The 1556 Shaanxi earthquake on 23 January 1556 had 8 magnitude, very high. And there are other earthquakes. You can remember one or two name if asked in MCQ. Let's study about earthquake and its management. Marketing earthquake sensitive areas. Constructing of houses, factories, dams, bridges, etc. with appropriate design, material and strategically placed vibration absorber. Forecast and early prediction of earthquakes. Creating public awareness रिगार्डिंग द स्टेप्स टू बी टेकन ड्यूरिंग एमरजेंसीज। हम फोरकास्ट कर सकते हैं, हम प्रेडिक्ट कर सकते हैं ताकि अगले अर्थक्वेक और अगले अर्थक्वेक को जब हमने प्रेडिक्ट कर लिया तो हम पब्लिक में अवेयरनेस फैला सकते हैं कि अर्थक्वेक आने वाला है। इससे अर्थक्वेक की मैनेजमेंट हो जाएगी। रिलीफ मेजर थ्रू टाइमली सपोर्ट एंड विजुअल, गवर्नमेंट हमें सपोर्ट करें, नॉन एनजीओज हमें सपोर्ट करने के लिए लग जाए तो हम अर्थक्वेक से होने वाली जो है बर्बादी से बच सकते हैं। लैंडस्लाइड्स के बारे में बात करते हैं। लैंडस्लाइड का नेचुरल फिनोमेना, ये एक नेचुरली होने वाली फिनोमेना है ड्यूरिंग विच लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ लैंड मास, धरती जो है स्लाइड कर जाती है डाउनवर्ड्स फ्रॉम हिली एरियाज, पहाड़ी एरिया से धरती खिसक के नीचे आ जाती है बिकॉज ऑफ ग्रेविटी, डिस्ट्रॉइंग एवरीथिंग लाइंग इन पाथ। आने वाली चीज़ों में जैसे सड़क आ रही है या किसी का घर आ रहा है तो वो नीचे गिर जाता है, डिस्ट्रॉय होता है। इसके कॉज क्या है। अर्थक्वेक इसका कॉज है, अर्थक्वेक आएगा तो लैंडस्लाइड होगी। ग्लेशियर ग्लेशियर्स एंड टोरेंशियल रेन, ठीक है। कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ डैम्स ब्रिजेस, डैम ब्रिजेस बनते हैं तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा मिट्टी को इधर उधर करते हैं, और जो पीछे वाली मिट्टी होती है पहाड़ के ऊपर वाली वो लैंडस्लाइड से हो जाती है। यूज़ ऑफ एक्सप्लोसिव फॉर ब्रेकिंग रॉक्स ड्यूरिंग माइनिंग, माइनिंग के जब हम बम धमाके करते हैं तो लैंडस्लाइड्स हो जाते हैं। डिफॉरेस्टेशन ऑफ माउंटेन स्लोप्स। इफेक्ट ऑफ लैंडस्लाइड, लैंडस्लाइड के इफेक्ट जानते हैं। रॉक्स, लार्ज डेब्रिस एंड स्लाइडिंग लैंड मास डिस्ट्रॉय अर्बन एंड रूरल हैबिटेशन, डैमेज टू रोड, डैम्स, ब्रिजेस एक्सेट्रा, obstruction of river flow, increasing the incidence of flood, several damage to crops and agriculture land। मैनेजमेंट देखते हैं। इफेक्ट तो हमने देख लिए हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा क्रॉप्स और एग्रीकल्चर लैंड को खराबी आती है, सड़कें ख़राब हो जाती हैं, ठीक है जी। जो ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन है रिवर के फ्लो में, एकदम उधर से लैंडस्लाइड होगी तो फ्लड आ सकता है, ठीक है जी। फ्लो बढ़ सकता है, फ्लो रुक सकता है। मैनेजमेंट देखते हैं। कंस्ट्रक्शनल एक्टिविटी शुड बी डन आफ्टर प्रॉपरली इवैक्यूएटिंग द जियोलॉजिकल एंड जियोग्राफिक कंडीशन, ठीक है। इवेलुएटिंग geographical and geological conditions, regulating rate of water flow also help in controlling landslides, ठीक है। agriculture at slope should be avoided, relief task through economic help for resettlement and rehabilitation of affected people at individual community and organized level should be carried out, ठीक है जी। जानते हैं फ्लड्स के बारे में। द accumulation of large quantity of water at a place or presence of more water then can be handled by the drainage of the area is known as फ्लड, ठीक है जी। अकमुलेशन ऑफ लार्ज क्वांटिटी, बहुत मात्रा का पानी एक जगह पर आ जाना और उसकी प्रेजेंस से ज़्यादा पानी उस जगह पर आ जाने से फ्लड आ जाता है। टाइप ऑफ फ्लड, फ्लड्स के टाइप याद रखें, फ्लैश फ्लड, रिवर फ्लड और कोस्टल फ्लड। फ्लड के बारे में, फ्लैश फ्लड क्या होता है, आर डिफाइंड दो वो flood events when the rise in water is either during or within the few hours of rainfall that produces the rise। फ्लैश फ्लड का मतलब है अगर बारिश पड़ रही है तो बारिश के वक्त या बारिश के कुछ ही घंटों बाद जो है पानी का लेवल एकदम से बढ़ जाता है और बाढ़ आ जाती है। कॉज ऑफ फ्लैश फ्लड, डैम फेलियर, डैम का फेलियर, सडन स्नो मेल्ट और थॉइंग ग्लेशियर्स, सडन रिलीज ऑफ वाटर बाय अ डेल्बरिस फ्लो और आइस जैम, स्टीपली स्लोप्ड वाटरशेड, ठीक है जी। रिवर फ्लड क्या होता है, रिवर फ्लड कैन अक्कर व्हेन रिवर ओवरस्पिल इन इट्स बैंक, अगर रिवर के बैंक में से यानी कि यहाँ से ऊपर के पानी इधर आ गया, कोई रिवर के बॉर्डर से पानी जो है ओवरफ्लो कर गया, व्हेन इट फ्लोज कैन नो लॉन्गर बी कंटेन्ड विद इन द चैनल, यानी कि अगर ऐसे रिवर बह रही है और इतना फ्लो होगा कि रिवर के बाहर से पानी आ गया तो उसे रिवर फ्लड कहते हैं। कॉज ऑफ रिवर फ्लड, हैवी रेन, स्नो मेल्ट इन स्प्रिंग, डिफॉरेस्टेशन एंड वेदर इवेंट्स लाइक साइक्लोन, ठीक है जी। अब कोस्टल फ्लड्स के बारे में बात करते हैं। मैंने कोस्टल प्रोसेस सच एज वेव्स, टाइड्स, स्टॉर्म्स, सर्ग और हैवी रेनफॉल फ्रॉम कोस्टल स्टॉर्म प्रोड्यूस फ्लड, इट इज़ कॉल्ड कोस्टल फ्लड, यानी कि समुंदर से या किसी भी रिवर से या टाइड से, स्टॉर्म से अगर कोई पानी आके फ्लड बनता है, मतलब उससे फ्लड आ जाता है। कॉज ऑफ कोस्टल फ्लड क्या होता है, राइजिंग सी लेवल, सुनामी आती है, रिक्लेम्ड लैंड। फ्लड्स के इफेक्ट पढ़ लेते हैं फिर उसका कंट्रोल पढ़ेंगे। फैक्ट क्या है, डैमेज टू एग्रीकल्चर क्रॉप, हमारी जो क्रॉप्स हैं उनको डैमेज देता है। लाइफ के ज़िंदगी जल जाती है, जा सकती है, या प्रॉपर्टी हमारे बनाए हुए घर बिल्डिंग का तबाह हो जाते हैं। ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में डिस्टर्बेंस आती है, यानी कि अगर कोई हमें ट्रांसपोर्टेशन है, हमारा कोई भी गाड़ी से इधर से उधर जाना है तो ट्रांसपोर्ट, रोड ब्लॉक है, रोड टूट गई है तो जाम हो जाता है, तो काफ़ी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में दिक्कत आती है। इंक्रीज इन पॉपुलेशन ऑफ डिजीज़, बीमारियां फैलती हैं, बायोडाइवर्सिटी का लॉस होता है, इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस भी आ सकते हैं क्योंकि इतना कुछ तबाह हो जाता है तो उसे बनाने के लिए पैसा बहुत ज़्यादा लग सकता है, तो उसे इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस। कंट्रोल कैसे करें, प्लांटेशन ऑन स्लोप्स, स्लोप्स पे प्लांटेशन रखें। एक शहर में अच्छा ड्रेनेज मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम होना चाहिए, फ्लड प्लेन जोनिंग होनी चाहिए, फोरकास्टिंग होनी चाहिए। लेट्स स्टडी अबाउट साइक्लोन्स। इन नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर अ साइक्लोन रेफर्स टू एन area of low atmospheric pressure surrounded by wind system in a counterclockwise direction. Now types of cyclone are tropical cyclones like hurricanes, cyclone, typhoons and tornadoes, mesocyclones, extratropical cyclones and arctic hurricanes. Please remember the types. Let's see a pictorial representation of tropical cyclones. Now different types of cyclone are, these are Arctic cyclones, these are mesocyclones, these are tropical cyclones and these are extra tropical cyclones. These are pictorial representation of four types of cyclones. Cyclone and anticyclone. In the cyclone and anticyclone have one difference, that the direction of flow of wind is opposite in cyclone and anticyclones. Cyclone and hemispheres. Counter clockwise rotation in northern hemisphere, clockwise rotation in southern hemisphere. Cyclone disaster. Effect of cyclones. They damage installations, communication systems, trees, etc. Result in loss of life and property. They may cause river floods and submergence of low-lying areas. Management of cyclones. Proper construction of houses and construction of cyclone shelter in the cyclone prone areas. This means that there should be proper management and there should be shelter homes provided by a government, so that there should be relief for the people. Okay, then we have to do relief task. Development of warning system. There should be warning system. As the cyclone comes, people should get warned. Media should play a very important role in spreading the awareness. Community preparedness at all levels to deal with emergency situations. Now let's study what is drought. Drought is defined as a prolonged period in which a region has a deficit in its water supply, whether the surface or the underground water. Please read this definition 2 3 times and get it remembered. It can last for months or years or even days. Though droughts can persist for several years, even in a intense short intense drought can cause significant damage and harm to the local economy. It is one of the most widespread disaster that India faces, affecting more than 70% of the cultivable land. Often people do not react to drought like they do to other sudden disasters such as earthquakes, cyclones, and floods. Since drought conditions develop over a period of time and without immediate perceptible changes to environment, drought is called a slow onset disaster. Please remember, drought is called slow onset disaster. Let's study about types of drought. Meteorological drought, hydrological drought, agricultural drought. This happens when the actual rainfall in an area is significantly less than the climatological mean of that area. The country as a whole may have a normal monsoon, but different meteorological districts and subdivisions can have below normal rainfall. Hydrological drought. Hydrological drought is associated with the effect of low rainfalls on water level in reservoirs, rivers, and lakes. This type of drought are noticed sometimes after a meteorological drought. A hydrological drought can change in water level affect ecosystem. Agricultural drought. Agricultural drought occurs when there isn't enough water for a crop to grow at a particular time. It can be result of meteorological or hydrological drought. Over extraction of groundwater may lead to this type of drought. Please remember this point. Let's study causes of drought. Natural causes: fluctuating ocean and land temperatures, altered weather patterns, reduced soil moisture are the three main reasons of natural cause of a drought. Man-made cause can be climate change, excess water demand, and deforestation and soil degradation. Let's study the effects of drought. Economical effects are damage to crop, decreased productivity. Environmental effects are increased infestations, plant disease, increased soil erosion, habitat and landscape degradation in short terms, loss of biodiversity, desertification. Social effects may be human death and degradation in human health. Mental stress may be the also main reason, and water conflict. How can we do prevention of drought? Dams and reservoirs and wetlands to store water should be built. Improvement in agriculture through modifying cropping patterns and introducing drought resistant varieties of crop. Watershed management should be done. Water rotation should be also done. Water rationing should be also done. Cattle management should be done. Education and training to people should be done. Proper selection of crop for drought affected areas is also required. Reducing deforestation and firewood cutting in the affected areas. Now let's study about heat waves. Heat wave is a prolonged period of excessive heat, often accompanied by excessive humidity. Weather is noticeable warmer than normal for the temperature of year and climate. Heat wave occur when there are number of consecutive days with above average temperature that a body cannot tolerate. Okay, the condition become more severe in May and June in India. As you know, in May and June in India, in the northern region, become a heat wave region. Cause of heat wave can be when a system of high atmospheric pressure moves into an area and lasts for 2 or more days. In such a high pressure system, air from upper levels of our atmosphere is pulled towards the ground where it becomes compressed and increases in temperature. The higher concentration of pressure makes it difficult for other weather systems to move into the area, which is why heat wave can last for several days or weeks. The longer the system stays in area, the hotter the area becomes. The high pressure inhibits winds, making them faint to non-existent because the high pressure system also prevents clouds from entering the region. Let's study the effect of the heat waves. First, heat stroke and sunstroke. Dehydration, increase in body temperature, increase in pulse rate and respiration rate. Cerebral edema, Na and K depletion. Anxiety, confusion, skin dryness, listlessness. These are few effects of heat waves. Prevention of heat injury. How can we prevent heat injury? Control the temperature at home, in the street, avoid direct sunlight, keep room cool by using shade or reflective material, limit the physical activity in the hottest day, listen to local weather forecast, drink a lot of water. These are few points from how we can prevent the heat injury. Now, cold waves. Let's study about the cold waves. A cold wave is a influx of unusually cold air into middle or lower latitudes. Cold waves, this is definition. Cold waves affect much larger areas than blizzards, ice storms, and other winter hazards. Meteorologist measures cold waves by the departure from the normal temperature. Now let's study the cause of cold waves. Now cause of cold wave. Polar vortex, inflow of cold air mass from the higher latitudes over the region in the rear of unstable jet streams of mid latitudes. Second point, foggy weather during the day which inhibits day warming of the region. Strong radiation cooling during the night under clear sky conditions. Effect of cold waves. Non-freezing, hypothermia, chilblains, trench, snow blindness, dehydration, freezing, frost nip and frost bite. Prevention from the cold injury. Frequent sock changes. Cover head and neck 80% of the heat loss. Use synthetic fiber, natural fiber, retain moisture. Adequate nutrition 3000 to 4000 calories per day. Adequate hydration and rest. Adequate clothing. Thank you. Now let's study about the nuclear disasters. First we study Chernobyl disaster, where it occurred in Chernobyl, Ukraine. When on 26 April 1986, how Unit 4 was to be shut down for routine maintenance, workers did not implement adequate safety precautions. Consequently, a sudden power surge resulted in explosion and nearly complete destruction of the reactor. The fire that broke out in the building contributed to extensive radioactive release impact. 50-60 people died, 2,20,000 people had to be relocated. Nuclear disaster number 2, Fukushima Daiichi. This occurred where in Fukushima in Japan. When on 11th March 2011. How? The earthquake cut off external power to the reactors. Tsunami, which reached levels more than twice as high as plant was designed to withstand. Disabled backup diesel generators, crippling the reactor cooling system. Fuel in three of the reactor's core melted and radiation releases from the damaged reactors. Impact forced the evacuation of nearly half million residents. Nuclear disasters. 3 Mile Island, Middletown Peninsula, USA, March 28, 1978. Failure of non-nuclear secondary system. Enrico Fermi Unit 1. You can read about this, and SL1, these are other, but the two important ones I have discussed with you. Now sodium reactor experiment, this is also a nuclear disaster. This you can read by yourself only. Chemical disasters. Chemical disaster, first is Bhopal in India. You have to remember this as this is in India, Indian chemical disaster, so we have to remember it. On December 3, 1984, large volume of water had entered the chemical tank, which caused a chemical reaction and led to the leak. Methyl isocyanate gas leak from the facility during the early hours of morning while local residents slept. Around 2,000 people died immediately, with another 8,000 dying later. Now, Opau, Germany. Chemical disaster on September 21, 1921. 4,500-ton mound of ammonium nitrate and ammonium sulfate caused massive explosion. Then Texas City, Texas, USA upon April 16 and 1947. A French ship, the Grand Camp, was being loaded with ammonium nitrate AN fertilizer. With over 2,000 tons of AN on board, a fire started in the hold. There was around 3,500 injuries and 576 people were killed. Now biological disaster, let's study about biological disaster. Bioterrorism, biological warfare. A bioterrorism attack is the deliberate release of viruses, bacteria or other germs agents to used to cause illness or death in people, animals or plants. Method of delivery is aerosols, animals, food and water contamination person to person. Japan used plague bacilli in China during 1932 to 1945, causing 260,000 deaths. Dispersal of anthrax spores due to accident in production unit in USSR caused 68 deaths in 1979. Shigella dysentery type 2 used in Texas, USA in 1996. Anthrax spores through postal envelopes in USA in October to November 2001, leading to 22 cases and 5 deaths. Now study about fire hazards. Building fire, coal fire, forest fire, oil fire. You can read this by yourself only. These are very easy topic. Building fire according to National Fire Protection Association, NFPA. Please remember the full form. The 5 most common causes fire in commercial building are cooking equipment, heating equipment, electrical and lighting. Coal fire generally gets started through negligence and ignition of combustible gases. Forest fire, except rare cases of lightning strike, forest fire in India are almost always man-made. On fire. Oh, sorry, this is oil fire. Inflammable liquids such as kerosene, oil, diesel, petrol, spirit, liquor, ghee, and other oil are the main causes of oil fire. Accidents. Let's study about accident. There are two types of accident: road accidents and rail accidents. Further we will discuss in next slide. First, road accident causes overspeeding, non-wearing helmet, not wearing seat belt, speaking in the phone while driving. Effects: loss of life, amputation, spinal cord injury, mental trauma. Prevention and control: strict implementation of rules and regulations. Now let's study about rail accident. Cause: uncontrolled crossing of rail lines by pedestrians and car. Effect: loss of life in large scale, damage in properties and personal injuries. Prevention: following rules and regulations, onboard detection system to detect faulty components, regular checkup to train components, ultrasonic geometric inspection of tracks and public awareness. Let's study about other few accident categories. Air accident causes bad weather condition, pilot error, mechanical failure, terrorism and hijack. Effect: loss of life and property and personal injury. Effects are almost same. Loss of life is and other personal injuries are almost similar points in every accident category. Prevention and control: public awareness, cancelling flights in bad weather conditions, fire control and proper maintenance. Sea accident causes natural condition, technical failure, root conditions, ship related factors, piracy, terrorism and human error. Effects: discharge of blast water, disposal of marine debris, waste material in and sewage. Oil spill accident occurs, physical damage to marine habitats and very large amount of, you can say that, water pollution occurs. Prevention and control: emergency response procedure, rerouting via alternative navigation channel and managing anchoring and good operation promotion of covering cargo operations and promotion of good practices. National Disaster Management framework. Let's study about National Disaster Management Framework. The National Disaster Management Framework 2005 have been developed by the Union Ministry of Home Affairs MHA. Okay, we have to remember this definition. Full form: the nodal agency for disaster management in India. The GOI-UNDP Government of India United Nations Development Programme, a national disaster risk management program formulated under this framework, aims to reduce vulnerabilities of communities at risk to sudden disaster in 169 of most multi-hazard prone districts spread over 17 states. This framework is aimed to enhance capabilities of government, institutions and communities and civil societies. The framework focuses on integration disaster management in the development agenda, establishing enabling institutional arrangements, creating awareness for risk reduction. Existing financial measures for disaster management. The Ministry of Home Affairs MHA in the central government has overall responsibility for disaster management in the country. Ministry with nodal responsibility for management of the disaster: earthquake, Ministry of Earth Science, flood, Ministry of Water. These you can read, these are only for the sake of knowledge. Role of NGOs in disaster management. NGO play an important role in disaster response, mitigation, disaster reduction and rescue coordination in different regions. Emergency food relief is given by NGOs, temporary shelters, emergency medical aids, debris removal, habitat restoration, trauma counseling and other also facilities are given by the NGOs. They have a huge role. These other 2 points you can read by yourself. Community based organizations and media. Community based organizations, CBO, is a public or private non-profitable organizations that is representative of community or a significant segment of a community and works to meet community needs. Its role in media is transmitting warning, protection, information, data. Role of in disaster management is search, rescue, evacuation, shelter for victims, clearance of debris, movement of injured to hospitals, disposal of dead animals and humans, promotion of mitigation measures, risk analysis, vulnerability analysis, resource assessment and mobilization. Let's study about the armed forces in disaster response. What do armed forces do? Armed forces include Army, Navy, Air Force and who served as the military force of the nation, and we are very proud of them. The Disaster Management Act 2005 mentioned the deployment of naval, military and air force and other armed forces of the Union or any other civilian personnel as may be required for the purpose of this act. The armed forces form an important part of government response capacity and are immediate responders in all serious disaster situations. Various roles of armed forces are rescue operation, evacuation of people, provide essential needs, immediate restoration, setup of emergency hospital, repair of roads and bridges. Wasteland and reclamation. Wasteland can be defined as the degraded land. It is a degraded land, that's why it is called a wasteland, which can be brought under vegetative cover with reasonable efforts and which is currently under utilized, and land which is deteriorating for lack of appropriate water and soil management or an account of natural causes. Categories of wasteland in India: gullies or ravines, upland or without scrub, waterlogged marshy land, degraded or grazing land, degraded land under plantation crop. You can read all these points for the sake of more information. Shifting sands, inland coastal, mining, industrial wastelands and other barren rocky stony wastelands. Now study about the wasteland reclamation. Few other points. Need for wasteland reclamation are: it provides source of income for rural people, ensures constant supply of food, fodder and timber or for local use, makes soil fertile, preventing soil erosion and conserving moisture, increasing forest cover, helps in maintaining local climatic condition. Wasteland can be classified into three forms: easily reclaimable, reclaimable with some difficulty, reclaimable with extreme difficulty. Like reclaimable with some difficulty, banjar land, all we call the barren land, which is difficult to reclaim with because it's a difficulty. Waterlogged land or usar land. Okay. Methods of wasteland reclamation are afforestation and reforestation, mulching, changing ground topography and ecological succession. Consumerism and waste products. Consumerism and waste products. Light study about consumerism is related to the constant purchasing of new goods with live attention to their true needs, durability, product origin, or the environmental consequences of their manufacture and disposal. Two types of condition of population and consumerism exist: people overpopulation in less developed countries, consumption overpopulation in more developed countries. Solutions are controlling population growth, stop using some of the irrelevant or unimportant products, development of eco-friendly technologies, consumerization and waste products. This is quantification of environmental impact. Okay, the IPAT equation: I for environmental impact, P for population, A for affluence, T for technology. This can be asked in the form of MCQs or any other exam related type, so this is important to remember.